look at this roster and those kids that are on the rise and those that are perhaps fighting it out and holding on to try to be tough enough to fend off the combatants, as there is a bunch of competition segment group by segment group that is going to be fascinating to document. Final Four is set. And it's funny, Tom. You know my feelings on this, but I thought of you yesterday when we watched what happened there between San Diego State and Creighton. And you watch that call, and that guy, if you're that official and you go back and look at what you called there, I would retire. I'd publicly apologize and retire. I just guaranteed that group, anyhow, as they're currently constructed, didn't make the Final Four because of what? I mean, I don't know, a ghost call? I mean, it's impossible. It's impossible. If you watch that game, you saw what they let go. People get away with the entirety of the game. The entirety of that game. In fact, there were only 15 total free throws attempted between the two teams prior to that. Total. And you called that Mickey Mouse hand check? I can't. I almost thought it was an inadvertent whistle. An inadvertent whistle. Because, officials realize, all right, no matter what we think the philosophy should be, you've been of the mindset over the years, however you call it in the course of the game, or a foul's a foul's a foul, got to call it with 1 second left or 10 minutes left. It doesn't matter. Oftentimes I've argued with you on this and said, circumstance matters. If it's been a great battle and the two teams are tied and there's 3 seconds left and somebody goes in the paint, we're gonna understand, both parties are gonna understand that it better be a mugging. It better be a mugging. But no matter where you stand on that, you can't call that. You can't call that. That's crazy. And one of those games has to end that way. It's bizarre. I don't know how that coach didn't get arrested for assault. Because if you're that coach, and obviously you've been with them all year long, there's some seniors on that team that they'll never, that's it. That was the only chance they had. And you get that call against Creighton, it's just crazy to me. It shouldn't have marred everything, but I'm really happy for Florida Atlantic. Texas, always fraudulent, doing what they do, blowing a 13-point lead. Unreal watching them choke that game away. Good for Miami.
So it was at 8 with free throws coming at the under 8 timeout, I want to say. The lead was for Texas.
Mm-hmm.
You could have gotten 4.5 to 1 on Miami at that point. So they're going to knock it down to 6. There's worlds of time to go. Miami's been shooting between 16.
Did you jump on it?
No. And I regret that. I should have.
Texas was beginning to short arm every shot, and you could see it.
The thing was, Miami's shooting over 60%, but not the way they usually get baskets. So you know that the threes are going to come because they had only made 2 halfway through the second half. They're used to making double digits a game.
Mm-hmm.
So the way that they usually arrive at a certain point total, they hadn't done yet. And all of these logical reasons are before me, and I didn't pull the trigger because screw Miami. That's why.
Yeah, your emotions got you. That's funny.
Did.
It's funny you bring that up. I think it was around that time. Might have been that exact moment even. We're on the same page here. I said to Bryce, Miami's going to win this game. This Texas is scared to death. And Miami's
answer.
Yes.
The only way is extreme foul trouble. They were in foul trouble, but it would have had to have been extreme foul trouble to help Texas get over the finish line.
It's hard to watch collectives begin to falter in a way that then becomes, it's when you're watching this manifest, you're like, oh man, you're afraid to win. You're afraid to win. They didn't give up. They didn't give up, guys. You're going to have to actually close it out. They're still going to go ahead and fight. If you watch this Miami team, in fairness, I mean, obviously that 25-point blown lead to us is the most insane result of the year. And thank goodness if there's going to be an outlier on the season, it's one that benefited us in a bizarre way in Miami. But if you watch them, they were the most consistent team in the ACC all year long, and they played tough, and they were tough. And so that's why it was even more of an outlier that they blew the 25-point lead against us. We're not any good, and they are tough, and they were at home, and that all happened. It's crazy, right? But you knew they weren't going to give up. And I don't know, did Texas think they were going to go away? Because at 13, it gets cut, and it gets cut again, and you're starting to see it. They're believing. And Texas is believing less and less. It's almost like you want to call a timeout. You have the lead. and you've had, you've got answers. Don't be scared. Everything short arm.
Right.
Everything short arm.
And that was an active whistle in that game.
Very.
Like, for example, if you had the San Diego State Creighton call, if you had that call
in that game,
in that particular game, it's more palatable to me because the whistle had been active.
That's the way they were.
The bonus was achieved with, an hour to go in that basketball game.
I hate when refs take control of games, so that neither one is palatable, but I understand what you're saying. It would have been in line with the way they called the game.
Precedent had been set. Yeah.
This was the Nimbard kid hand checking in that situation. It's barely even that. I mean, you can't even call that.
It's the tug before he leaves the ground. It's not even the contest on the shot. It should be on the floor, whatever the foul situation is for a 1-and-1 or double. I don't know what, but it's before he leaves his feet. Where I think the actual foul would
occur. If you're going to call it.
Yeah.
With that, the game is tied. There's a second. Go to overtime. Let the kids finish the game. This has been a brutal battle the whole game. Don't decide the game. You just decided the game on a nothing, on a hand check. Come on, man. It pisses me off. That can never happen. I mean, if you were the NCAA, you'd be furious. I would think, oh man, I almost didn't want to. I don't even watch the tournament. That's just nonsense.
I didn't watch a whole ton of this tournament. I watched the finishes of the first weekend, and then yesterday, just because the golf it doesn't lend itself to being glued to a television when you're watching a match play final. We talked about that. I did have Sam Burns though in the semis and in the final, and that was great. That was good for me. For the day.
I didn't have him, Tom.
It's, that game is over, I think, the final match is over with a minute to go in the first half of Texas-Miami. So that's why I had meandered over to watch the second half of that game. It's just hard for me. This is a sport that is very hard for me to watch when we are not involved, when Florida State is not involved. There are some other sports that'll carry, no problem. College basketball isn't one of them, but I do know enough to know by looking at the box scores that UConn looks like an absolute machine. A wagon, they would call it in hockey.
I think UConn's going to win the whole thing. I hate to see games, two hard-fought teams get through, play a game like that, come down to the final seconds, and you're going to call that when you haven't called anything all day. Haven't called anything all day. You can't call that. You can't. And if you're going to call it on the floor, fine. Even then, come on, man. You really want the game to end like that? You want to put your hands on the game right there? I do like that in the NBA. If you go into the paint, your prerogative, you can go in the paint. If you force the issue into the paint, they're not going to bother with body. It's got to be across the arm or the head. Yes, we're going to make it a man's foul here. I mean, this is the end of the game. We want the players to decide the game. We're not going to get all ticky-tacky, especially if we haven't been calling it all game. You just can't do that. Now, like you said, if it had been in the flow, they had been constantly calling things, which I hate. But if they had, you'd be like, well, feels like anything was going to get a call today.
For 2 hours, man. You can't do that for 2 hours today. But not in that particular situation.
Yeah, hurts. Anyhow, we'll go back to basketball in a bit. Baseball team got swept, and you knew when they blew the Friday game, you're just like, okay, all right, so this is going to happen now. They're just going to get drubbed from here. And
they needed to be front runners this year with the mental toughness issues, and they're now behind. They are behind.
Well, they got Florida tomorrow. You want to talk
in Miami
after that? Yeah.
Did they just get swept too?
Yeah,
Miami.
I think so. Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Listen, it's a weird deal there. They're not good. That's not a good baseball team. We're not a good baseball team. That is to say, it's pretty obvious they're not a good baseball team. There's too many holes. Not enough pitching. They're not great defensively. It's a lot to overcome. I'm not worried about, I see people in my inbox or on the message boards like, well, Link is making it. Come on, get the hell out of here with that already. You already know the guy can coach. You've already bore witness to that. We've seen it. We know the course of his career. It's not that. He does have to get his players in here, though. He's going to have to find some arms. I think I start there because I do think by season's end, they'll be good enough offensively. I really do. But they've got to find some damn arms. And when you don't have a kid who you're supposed to have be your most important starter or pitcher, you got a problem on your hands. I mean, they don't have enough as it is. It was already suspect, and they continue to have these issues. So it'll be fascinating to see what the season looks like at the end of the year. What it looks like right now is they're on the verge of setting records for losing. So, unless you pull an upset over Florida tomorrow, you're going to be sub 500. And you will have lost, what is that, 10 of 11? I believe you will have lost 10 of 11. It is, woo. That's something to behold. And then from there, I think you're right. That series against Miami, we predicted when they were going into this stretch that there was a chance they'd come out of it sub 500. Well, that has been realized. You lose tomorrow, not going to assume a loss, but it seems likely. We would bet on Florida here in that game. Then you are sub 500. If you lose the series to Miami, now you're more than a game under 500. Let's say you lose 2 out of 3 to Miami, or, how do you respond? Those are all very good teams, very, very good teams. How do you respond? How do you get this back on track? How do you overcome what could end up being the longest losing streak in Florida State baseball history?
Setting some program records the wrong way, my man.
That's a toughie. Yeah, basketball too. Yeah, and you watch Miami get to the Final Four. Although, in fairness, it's the wildest of the Final Fours that we've really ever seen. It's the worst collection. I'm not taking shots at teams. Worst collection of Final Four teams according to seeding. The best seed that remains is UConn at 4 seed in the West, and they're good. They're really good. But you have 2 5 seeds and a 9 seed. The previous worst collection, according to seeding in the Final Four, was 2011. UConn was also involved in that. They were the top remaining seed. They were a 3 seed. And then that was the year that VCU and Butler. Remember that? Yeah. So that's
yes.
Indeed, unfortunately, we remember that very, very well.
Yeah.
But that Butler team was an 11 seed. I think VCU was or maybe Butler was an 8 seed and VCU was an 11 seed. That's what it was. But yeah, those weren't. And then Kentucky was in that group, but they were a 4 seed. But it's the first time all 4 1 seeds failed to make it to the Elite 8. We said before the tournament started that the intrigue would be that it was wide open. There were no dominant teams in college basketball this year. And I don't know if we're ushering in an era where this will be fairly commonplace, but it feels like it.
I think it's going to be over in a year or two when COVID eligibility wanes and you start to get back to the oldest guys in the court being 21 and 22 years old. But these days, you got dudes who are like 24. Plus, I think also the NBA situation of the one and dones. There's going to be some more clarity on that because certain kids go to the G League and they get those contracts that we talked about. You
can go straight there now.
You can go straight there at a high school now.
You can play professional basketball, right?
I feel like there's more clarity coming to that. We'll see. Anytime the favorites don't win, I feel like that's when change happens because the loudest voices in the room grow louder.
Yeah. That may be in a sport that matters less and less.
Agreed.
So that's the hard part here.
Glad to see that Jim Phillips went on the record this weekend and said, we've got to change the narrative around ACC basketball. Oh, dear God, you're right, Jim. I've been saying it for years. That's got to be priority number 1. Let's change the narrative around ACC basketball.
Well, he's got a lot of his constituents that are flipping out. What do we do? We're always so good at basketball. No, you're not.
How about you guys only play basketball and the schools
and
that
leave
want
us
to play
football-related programs?
Yeah, you guys just stay together. You could even call yourselves the ACC. No sweat.
Just let us out of it.
Yep.
And we're going to go play football.
We'll call ourselves something else.
Well, the irony is that I remember the debate that happened on message boards, emails, chat rooms. All of us, we'd get this all the time on Twitter. People would say, would you exchange the basketball and baseball teams being, bad, going back to being, let's say, bad, if the football team could be good again? Like, if I promised you the football team would win 10 games again and be in the conversation for the college football playoff, would you take a terrible basketball season and, an average baseball season? And almost overwhelmingly, this fan base responds with, hell yes, don't care at all. That's fine. Let basketball suck. Doesn't bother me. Until they do. And then when they do, all of a sudden, everybody comes from out under their rock. This is awful. Look at Miami and FAU. We should fire everybody. It's funny. They didn't care when we offered up that scenario before, as long as football was good. Well, football's good, guys. Football's really good.
You float me a really good softball program, which they steady kick ass, and a good 2 out of 3 this weekend up at Duke.
Mm-hmm.
I could make that deal as long as football's good.
Oh, you don't want basketball to remain
I don't
poor
want
in
it.
perpetuity. We had so much fun at the TLC
I
Double
agree.
C. Those were great events. By the way, there's no law that says you can't be good at both.
I agree.
Look, it's
if you had to guarantee one, though, it's got to be football. If you
of
only
course,
get one guarantee.
of course. That should be universal because of the money that it makes you. Yeah, that drives the bus. We know that. Speaking of which, we'll take a break here. And as we do, I will ready you by saying, I think there's a lot of really good news to come out of that scrimmage. We like this roster. We've talked about the depth of this roster. We've talked about the competition that's at play. Every week we go to practice. I've been at every practice but one. And the underlying theme and talking point after every practice is, can you believe the depth here? The only position where that's not true is at linebacker. And, you can live with that if your front's going to be really good because they'll be free to roam, and you just have to hope that, maybe they will bring in a linebacker. Of course, you have Nicholson, the kid coming in the fall. He's a really good athlete, might have the body type to contribute some early. We'll see. But then, maybe you go and look for another linebacker. Other than that, you really do. You have quality depth at every segment group. And I think the scrimmage on Saturday revealed that yet again, and there's reason to talk about that and get excited about that and really be hopeful of what that can mean come the fall. We'll talk about it in a moment. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3, Real Talk Radio, and Warchant TV.
Call Basic Brooks Law Offices, 777-7777.
Did you know that when you order food delivery through third parties like Uber Eats and Bite Squad, local restaurants lose up to 30% of their own revenue, and you're actually sending your money to corporate bank accounts in California? Well, now you can truly support our locally owned restaurants by ordering directly from foodiestakeout.com. Choose from delicious options like El Jalisco, Smitty's Tap House, Hangar 38, Jerry's Cafe, and many more. With Foodies Takeout and Delivery, we can actually put our money where our mouth is. Order your next fresh meal today at foodiestakeout.com.
At Pinch-A Penny Pool, Patio, and Spas, it's prime time hot tub season. And after a long, stressful day, there's nothing like soaking in a hot tub with all that steam. And it has lots of great health benefits, too. Pinch-A Penny Pool, Patios, and Spas is your true hot tub headquarters. Save today on the hot tub of your dreams at prices you can afford. Come and shop our 12,000 square foot showroom and find the right model for you. With over 50 hot tubs in stock, you're sure to find the one that's just right. And for a limited time, take advantage of a free spa cover with purchase of your new hot tub. That's around a $400 value, completely free with your purchase. If you're ready to relax, we're here to show you how. Pinch-A Penny Pool, Patios, and Spas. Come see us at 2473 Greer Road. Pick out your hot tub and enjoy your free cover. You'll be glad you did.
Howdy there, folks. Jeff Cameron here, inviting you to join me from 1 to 3 each and every weekday afternoon. We're live and local thanks to great sponsors like FSUHomeLoans.com, 844-FSU-LOAN, 844-FSU-LOAN, FSUHomeLoans.com.
Hey man, have you heard the sound? The Calford Jewelry's the best in town. For rings, diamonds, earrings, bracelets, and more. And Calford Jewelry Store.
When was the last time you randomly did something nice for someone that means a lot to you? Now, I say this every day at the end of my show, for everybody to be a better person today than you were yesterday. Well, one way to do that is to drop into Pintalta and get a gift for someone who deserves it. It'll brighten their day, their week, maybe even their year. You don't have to wait for a holiday or special occasion, so don't wait to go check out a true local gem, serving Tallahassee since 1988. Now, sing along with me, and I'll see you at Pintalta.
Pintalta Jewelry, Pintalta Jewelry, Pintalta Jewelry, home, the real nice price.
Hey, this is Dr. Ryan Finn at Finn Chiropractic. If you have a pain in the neck, bring them to Finn Chiropractic because neck pain, low back pain, headaches, numbness, and tingling can make your significant other or family member very irritable.
This is Dr. Shannon Lord. We developed the Phenomenal Health Exam to get to the cause of your problem. You can schedule your appointment at finnchiro.com. FENNCHIRO.com.
Whether the pain is in your neck or someone else's, come to Finn Chiropractic.
Because your chiropractor loves you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Welcome back to the Jeff Cameron Show, sponsored by Legendary Home Loans, a mortgage experience designed around speed, simplicity, and customer service. Before you buy your next home, contact our friend Shannon Young with Legendary Home Loans. Visit FSUHomeLoans.com. FSUHomeLoans.com.
Talk about this some. We've talked about it quite a bit as we attend practice and we look at the depth of this team and the expectations. I think at the end of the day, one of the things that we're probably most surprised about, and I bring this up because his name came up, and it would be a logical starting point. We didn't think Jordan Travis would play all that much in this scrimmage. Turns out he didn't play at all. So that makes sense. Okay, I got it. You know what Jordan Travis can do. This is an opportunity for others, and they can talk about wanting to obviously not, I guess it would be you'd call it these days, you'd call it load management, but whatever. You don't want to put all those throws on Jordan's arm, and he's fine. You know what he can do within the offense, but you also want to get, I think they really do want, my opinion here, to get a sense of who is the second string quarterback and how this jostling is going to take place. Remember, they got another quarterback coming in that they feel very, very good about. If the Cronenbach kid turns out to be what they think he is,
turns out it's Cromenhawk.
Cromenhawk, okay,
which is really easy, much easier than looking at the spelling.
Right, yeah, okay. So Cromenhawk, all right. So they love that kid, right? Everybody's excited about him potentially. All right, well, you and I have spent a lot of time trying to decide. We do it at every other position, but we haven't done it with quarterback yet. I don't know that everybody we mention when we talk about offensive line or wide receiver or running back is going to view things the way that we view it from an outsider's perspective. I don't know if they sit around and do the math like we do the math when we talk about touches and opportunities, how many snaps, snap count, that, if you're the fourth string running back here, are you thinking to yourself, I should probably go elsewhere? It's look, I get it. It's unfortunate, but I feel like maybe I could get an opportunity to get 15 carries a game if I were to transfer so-and-so, right? And maybe that's the case. I mean, Ward realized he could be a feature back if he left. And there were no hard feelings. There was nothing wrong with that. He got a lot of touches last year, and he's been an integral part of what Florida State did. But he saw the writing on the wall. He's a logical player. He gets it. He knows Trey Benson's the guy, and he wants to be the guy. Two people can't be the guy. So I got a chance to go over here and be the guy. Power 5 conference. I'm going to go do that. I'm going to showcase my wares to try to go and give my draft stock the best opportunity to be the best it can be. Fair enough. Nobody begrudges that. We go through this list of receivers and running backs all the time, and even offensive linemen and defensive linemen, but we don't do it with quarterbacks. I don't feel like all those guys are going to be on the roster. I think within a year, one of these guys is gone.
I think that's something that you can say in general around college football, because even before the portal turned into what it has, and NIL turned into what it did. I mean, think about all of the quarterback situations at the highest level of Power 5 football that saw big names go from one place to another. I mean, two obvious examples are Justin Fields and Joe Burrow, but there was a lot more than that. Clemson has lost 4- and 5-star quarterback recruits to other places because they realized that Trevor Lawrence was there or Deshaun Watson was there. Kelly Bryant being one of those names. They've had guys leave. Taysom Pumachan. Remember, people were calling for that kid's name to be the starter 2 years ago because they had issues with their current guy, whose name I suddenly can't remember. But that's kind of part and parcel to doing, and Clemson wants to forget, that's part and parcel to doing business at the highest level of Power 5, especially at the quarterback position. And what's happening now has serious implications for Ireland when we play Georgia Tech in Ireland and who's going to be the starting quarterback.
Yeah,
it's fun.
It does. And I'll tell you what, I get asked this a lot. We got asked it on Seminole Headlines, and I'll answer it here. Somebody said, is Tate Rodemaker the starting quarterback for Florida State when they take on Georgia Tech in Ireland in 2024? And I said, well, I mean, it would certainly seem to be trending that way. I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure anymore. This is going to be a fascinating competition. I think what I'm getting at is the competition for the second string quarterback role right now is impacting, obviously, 2024 as well. And I wouldn't be surprised to see a shakeup.
Well, the good news is there's going to be exhaustive reps for everybody for this whole thing to be not a guessing game.
Well,
you talked about how you think, looking at the schedule, there are going to be a handful, maybe a little bit more than a handful of opportunities.
Ass kickings.
In the 12 games for backups to get in. All right, that's one kind of set of reps. We already know in scrimmages they're going to get more than they did last year because we know what Jordan Travis is. So there's another set of reps. That's for just spring camp and the fall season. In between, there's the spring game, which is another big set of reps. And then there's fall camp, 2 days.
Yeah.
Well, no more 2 days, but you get the point. So by the time this is all done next January, there is going to be so much information for these kids to crunch, or so much for the coaches to crunch on each one of these players, that you're going to be able to really handicap the race going into next spring camp. And we'll see if it gets that far before one of them leave. But I agree with you. This is a search. This is an exhaustive search being conducted by this coaching staff.
Well, and this is something to pay attention to. It is very rare. I know what time of year it is. I get that it's spring football, and we're all giddy about next year's season and what this team can be. Realistically, high expectations are a thing that are warranted, and so every little move this team makes and every day they practice is something worth documenting and getting excited about. That's what happens when you have a team that you think is a top 10 football team. It's what happens when your first game of the season is against LSU. And we all know how big a game that's going to be. That's what happens when not only is your first game of the season of vital importance against a major power in college football and a high-profile team, but it's also true when your fourth game is against the adversary by which you have been felled way too many times in a row in Clemson. So you don't have, it's going to be on us, and we're going to talk about, okay, what are we? How good are we? How deep are we? How talented are we? Do we win that first game? If so, are we starting to talk about trying to win a national championship? That will be what happens, okay? Well, if that's the way we see this playing out, then every day you listen very closely to what Mike says, because, again, we've established, and he's even said it himself, he doesn't talk just for the sake of talking. He doesn't say things just to say things. So what does it mean to you? Because I know what it means to me, that it continues to be interesting that Brock Glenn's name comes up, because Brock Glenn has wowed us from day one. He walks as if he walks around like the starting quarterback. It's bizarre to see that kid's confidence. Let's put it that way. Confidence. He's a big, strong kid who's already making progress in terms of when we watch those reps, he makes plays.
Correct. He's not afraid. And he is so much more impressive through 2 weeks of his Florida State career.
It's crazy.
Than Duffy was.
Well, more impressive. Way more impressive.
He's also got more to work with. So I always want to qualify that.
That's fair.
Because they didn't have this kind of depth to where you get these kinds of reps. And also, I'm sure he's playing with even better players if Jordan Travis is going to take a seat. The practices we've seen, not really been the case. So take him out of the equation, and you get even more reps with even better players. And Duffy just, I don't think Duffy took the bull by the horns when he got here outside of day one, but he also didn't have a fair fighting chance a lot of the times in the trenches when you were going
all the time.
11 on 11. Even if you're non-contact, it's still that way. I agree, though. Every player that they mentioned, the coaching staff on Saturday, as impressive is not a surprise. And if you were listening to the Cameron Show last week, you're not surprised either, because these are the kids that we keep coming back to.
I'll get to All Day Dre again as he continues to make plays, and I guess we're going to get to a point where we decide it's entirely plausible that he is somehow part of the rotation where he gets a lot of opportunities to play big-time college football this year. Jacobs looks like that guy. Like, he can do it. He's that kind of polished right off the bat. I mean, we've seen this before. And it's unfair to compare this kid to Rashad Green. I mean, that's who we're all kind of looking at each other thinking. Let's just admit it. That's what we're thinking. Because when you see him, he's polished. He's smooth in and out of routes. He's not afraid. Makes contested catches. Comes in really confident. Makes plays when he has opportunities. So to me, I think that's what people in the back of their mind are thinking. Now, again, we don't know. Rashad was an awesome player.
And Rashad wasn't Rashad until a month into that season anyway.
Right.
Because it was the Oklahoma game. He had the connection with Trickett to start his career.
Yeah.
But then it wasn't until a little bit later that he became Rashad.
Yeah, and once he did, there was no looking back. He was just so trustworthy. He had one game in his career. It was against Boston College where he tried to lose the game for us. It was crazy. I mean, I don't know what happened that day, but
garbage.
But that's the only time. Like, you never had another game like that out of him.
Yeah.
Something must have distracted him.
It was rain. It was the rain.
I don't know. But he was always it was unbelievable. Over and over and over again, he stepped up and made plays. And at some point, you just believed your eyes. At some point, you just said, "Oh, well, this is who he is." At some point, we're gonna look at Jacobs and we're just gonna say, "Yes, this kid's really good." Doesn't matter. We're not gonna have to qualify it with he's a freshman. Just he's really good.
I think we can already say that he is. My question is, at what point does he hit the freshman wall because of the consistency of playing at this high level? He hasn't done it yet. So is there a wall? When does he hit it? And is it this spring or is it once we get into the fall? It's just so much more is asked of you on a day-by-day basis. You get a reprieve the way that camp is set up at present with 1 week in, 1 week off. Now, as you get into this Tuesday through Saturday, the following Tuesday and Thursday, is he still, by the time we get to the second week of April, that guy every day where it's no longer the surprise note of the day and he's just a steady Eddie? I think that's going to be a big telling sign.
You had to have been elated. Speaking of names mentioned, very specifically, you had to have been elated to hear of Rodney Hill's day in this scrimmage.
Not surprised, let me tell you.
Well, he's going to get a lot of opportunities because they're not going to run Trey Benson a lot.
Very happy to hear he's doing as he should, which is dominate.
He had a couple of real long runs we hear, so that's good news, and that's awesome that he played well, and I'm excited for him. I want as many talented people back there as possible. It'd be fascinating to see how many of those running backs are on this roster come the fall. I think they're going to lose somebody there too, for sure.
Ain't going to be Rodney.
No, Rodney's fine. They're going to lose somebody there too. I would guess they're going to lose somebody there. While we're on the offense, I'm just saying the offensive line has a ton of talent and a ton of depth, and those battles will continue. The sense that I get from listening to Alex Atkins and from having been at these practices, nothing will be resolved in the spring. Now, you may end up having a kid see the writing on the wall. He might look at it and realize, I'm not winning this battle. That doesn't figure to get better because the guy I'm competing against just got here and he's already even with me. I mean, that could happen. So don't be surprised if I said it's the camp. This is the spring of hurt feelings. There are guys who've played a ton of football for this team who are going to take it on down the road. It's just going to happen. And I think now we're closely monitoring each of these segment groups to look for candidates because that's what competition does. It brings out the best in everybody. And if your best isn't good enough, you'll know it pretty quickly. And so do the coaches.
Well, that's the thing about this spring camp is we get to see the depth for the first time in a long time. And that was the big note about the trenches when we went to, even the tour of duty workout where you just see all these large bodies running all over the field and they can do so at an athletic clip like a Jeremiah Byers, who you pointed out. He shouldn't be able to carry that weight and run like
that. Yeah.
We've got a lot of dudes like that, and that was the focus early on. But there is a depth across the board. It's building through high school development as well. There are freshmen we are excited to watch on a day-by-day basis. Not just the quarterback, not just Dre Jacobs. Look, man, Hakeem Williams, there's no rule against him having a dominant week, let's say, middle of April. before we get to the spring game. There's no law that says he can't do that and enter his name into the conversation. The glove has already been dropped to the ground, and Dre Jacobs is saying, I'm the freshman stud receiver. Do you see a response there? KJ Kirkland was a name that came up as a standout in the scrimmage.
He does all the time, though.
Quindarius Jones is somebody who impresses the hell out of me. Lucas Simmons hit the weight room in the offseason in the upper body. Let's see what you can be. The fun part about the spring game, this is my new theory on spring games. The deeper you are as a roster, the more fun the spring game is. Because they know what they have in their top-end players. Every team does. They're going to get limited action because they got to play for the fans and for themselves a little bit. But if you have a deep roster, the spring game is really fascinating for the whole time. If you don't, the spring game is interesting for 10 plays.
Well, maybe
done.
not even then. But yeah, you're right.
This is going to be an interesting one I can't wait for the fans to see these people that we get to watch on a day-by-day basis.
Well, I'm the number one thing that's going to stand out to everybody who comes to the spring game that doesn't get that opportunity to do what we get to do on a daily basis is they're going to look at the offensive and defensive lines, and they're going to go, whoa, that looks like the stuff you see from the best teams in the country, and that's accurate. Are there better offensive lines than Florida State's? Yes. I don't know how many more offensive lines or how many offensive lines are going to be deeper. I mean, as currently constructed, Florida State, again, has 11 or 12 guys competing for 5 spots, and they're legitimate competitions. So it'd be hard to be deeper than Florida State on the offensive line.
What can put us over the top from a deep offensive line to a very good offensive line is a couple of these redshirt freshmen really coming into their own. I mean, we think Armella is on that path for sure. He looks the part. He's got the nasty edge. He doesn't seem surprised or shocked by the skill across from him. And we know that Jared Verse, for example, is a legitimate player. Like, we know how good he is. So when Armella handles Verse, you say, okay,
yeah,
I know that he can handle the best of what he's going to see this year. But is it Jalen Early? Is it Daughtry Richardson?
Both are playing well right now and excited.
Is it Kayshawn Sapp? Like, who is it going to be from that group that emerges as a second or a third option from those high school classes? If you can get a couple more answers there, then your depth, there's an E word for the depth you have. I'm not comfortable using it with the offensive line. I don't know that I ever will be. We're not there yet. But if those 19-year-olds add to the ranks legitimate starting quality and caliber play that you can rotate them in and out, buddy, this thing is not just flipped. It's become the strength of the roster.
They're at a point now, and I'll go to break on this note, to illustrate the depth and the talent on the offensive line that we're alluding to. They're at a place now where I think it is very easy to see which 3 or 4 linemen in that group need to go. There's some kids they just need to take on down the road. We got to get under the number. We're above 85. There's some kids. I'm not going to say it on the air, but there are a couple of kids that is in that group now. You need to take it on down the road. You got 0 shot. You're never going to play here again. You got no chance. And so they've got some obvious, because the caliber of player that's been brought in and developed is to a place now where the separation is very easy. The line of delineation is very easy to recognize. And again, sparing some kids' feelings here for a moment, but there are 3 or 4 guys right now. What are you doing? I mean, if you want to play college football, I mean, some kids are just happy to be on a team. I got it. But man, we don't, you got to process some people here now. You got to move along. There's some guys you got to get off this roster that are wasting time. And I'm not trying to be mean. That the coaching staff has to figure out, how do I get these guys? You got to find them a spot. Get them to take it on down the road.
It's like E.T. Find them home.
Got to. Jeff Cambridge, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
A Tallahassee pharmacist is now facing 11 felony charges after deputies discovered 25 guns, hundreds of rounds of ammunition, bulletproof vests, and explosives in his car. 36-year-old William Head III of Monticello was arrested last weekend, and prosecutors are moving to keep him in custody until his trial. Citizens reported concerns about Head's disturbing behavior, delusional thoughts, and showing up at people's homes unannounced to the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office. Deputies spotted guns in plain view in his car and arrested Head for violating a domestic violence injunction that forbids him from possessing guns. A search of his car turned up 10 handguns, 15 long guns, hundreds of rounds of ammunition, multiple empty and loaded weapon magazines, binary explosive material, 2 bulletproof vests, and a clear plastic straw with a white powdery residue. A TMH spokesperson confirmed Head was employed up until December 1st of last year, but declined to elaborate on his position, tenure, or how his employment came to an end. This is Rachel Anae with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
Your local weather forecast with Danielle Kelly.
Starting off the week warm, higher rain chances returning on Tuesday. Temperatures briefly cooler midweek and then warmer by the end of the week into the weekend. Tonight, a 30% chance of showers and storms early, mostly cloudy, low of 67. Tuesday, a 70% chance of showers and storms with a high of 79, low of 55. Wednesday, partly sunny with a high of 75. From Real Talk 93.3, this is Danielle Kelly.
Hey, everybody, the perfect fireplace makes your house a home. How's your fireplace looking? Not too well? Hearth and Patio can help you with that. Actually, Hearth and Patio can help you with anything fire. Give my friends a call at Hearth and Patio. If you need new fireplace upgrade, fireplace repair, you need custom outdoor kitchen, grills, or an amazing fireplace for your backyard. 850-727-4282. That's 850-727-4282. Or you can visit them online at hearthpatiotallahassee.com. Hearth Patio Tallahassee. They keep the home fires burning.
My man Eddie.
Jeff, what's happening, dude?
Bears eating people all over the place. I read another article today. It's the third one in the last month of somebody getting mauled to death by a bear.
Man, bears have their own space.
Well,
you got to let them have that.
You do. You got to stay clear of bears is what you're saying?
Yes.
I got a question for you. Here you go. If you had to be mauled to death, eaten alive by any animal in the world, which would you choose to eat you alive?
Ooh, I think maybe I'd want, I don't know, longevity time, a mouse.
Just a slow burn.
Slow burn.
This thing just finished the pinky. It's been a month.
I could go to work. I could still do my thing. I could probably live 30 years.
I thought you were going to say great white because it'd be quick, or a grizzly. We went with mouse.
Yeah, mouse.
Okay. Mouse it is.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
We'll wait. I don't know how long we'll have to wait on Darrell Jackson and whether or not he's good to go for the fall. Certainly would like to know sooner rather than later. And then I'm still thinking about this Dimitri Emmanuel situation, right? I mean, we're talking offensive line. He could end up.
If he's in the rotation too, I mean, my goodness.
Well, I'm saying, think about what you got a gazillion guards again.
I'm not even thinking about him at present in that rotation. But, I'll say what is observable for the first 4 periods of practice. He's wearing his jersey, not participating in drills during that observable portion, and he can't. But he is very much still actively around the program, engaged.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope he gets good news, because seems like a great kid, somebody with a lot of history with Alex Atkins, and would deeply fortify the ranks at guard. That would be a good get, a big get. But when we are talking about names, at least when I'm talking about names in depth, I'm not thinking about him in that rotation.
Of course
not
not. Yeah.
No,
I know. I don't necessarily either, but I was thinking about it during the break. That's not a foregone conclusion. They may get him. The fact that he's out there all the time seems to suggest that they're hopeful, and I would be too. So I'm rooting for him to be able to do it. So to me, again, I think the thing that stands out from the scrimmage is that you had big plays being made on both sides of the football. Once again, you're reminded that you have a couple of freshmen that are turning heads right off the bat. And on a team that has the deep roster, you would not expect to hear glowing praise of freshmen. So when it happens for Jacobs, when it happens for Brooklyn, that turns your attention to them a little bit more. Not that we weren't paying attention already, because every day we are out there, we're like, there's another play, made another play, made another play. At some point, you just grow to expect it.
Yeah, what stands out consistently about Brock Glenn, said this before, is just how quiet his mind appears to be. That's the thing. He doesn't look like he's thinking. That is so hard to be able to do just a few weeks into your first camp at the Power 5 level. Now, he's not going up against the starters exclusively. I think we can say that without getting in trouble. They're not throwing him out to the wolves, and he's got Jared Verse and Daryl Jackson bearing down on him on every play, maybe that would change matters a little bit.
I'm sure a little bit, yeah.
But it's just amazing to see that he's not swimming. That's the impressive thing. And when he breaks the pocket or he rolls out on a design play, whatever drills they're running, 7-on-7, 11-on-11, he's just playing football. He's not thinking about what he should be doing. He's just playing. That tells me that he is calm and that he knows what he's seeing and he's comfortable with what he's seeing.
Well, he's really athletic. So I think for one thing that happens when you're really athletic, you have that to fall back on at all times. So one of the things that, that can't get taken from you, and that's not something you need experience to get better at. Like if you're an athlete, you're an athlete. If you're a really good athlete, you know that. You've always been a really good athlete. You somewhere along the way, you learned that your fast twitch was a little bit better than everybody else's. And at some point along the way, you were likely bigger, stronger, and faster than everybody. Now, he's not like a freak athlete. We're not saying he's Lamar Jackson.
No.
But he's a very good athlete.
And if you're listing the best throws in practice, he's probably still fourth in the list of most consistently capable of making those throws where we go, oh my God. Like Tate still has the ability to throw the best ball every day in practice, and he does most days. Jordan is now consistently just, you can assume he's going to make 3 or 4 throws that you go, oh, good luck stopping that.
And also he just always knows where to go with the ball instantaneously. That seems to be the thing with him. That's that experience.
Duffy is turning in more of those throws now in this camp than he has.
I'm telling you, that's the battle.
It is.
I want you to watch that and Brock Glenn and see what happens, because I think that's going to end up being close before this is all said and done this year.
So there was a sequence last week I was on at Thursday's practice where I don't know what to call the drill, but it's not individuals. There's groups out there. There's an outbreaking route from Deuce Spann, who had an excellent day on Thursday last week. That it's just a missile, far side. I mean, it's got to have a lot of gusto, and it's got to be now, and it's got to be located perfectly because the window's small. And Duffy delivers it, and you just go, whew, okay. Looks like you've been working a lot in the offseason, young man. That is a dime. Next set of plays. Dude's wide open, spiked in the ground, 3 yards short of him. Oh, just put it back to back. I've seen the outlier for the good. We got to eliminate the outlier for the bad, Well,
I think you have that problem with both your backup quarterbacks. Tate does the same thing. Tate will make the throw of practice, then he'll turn around and make an asinine decision and throw it to the wrong team. Once practice. So, the door's open.
And they're telling you that with the reps, the way they're distributing.
Yeah, they are.
They're shutting Jordan down
and you got another kid coming in. That's what I'm saying. It's like, this is going to get interesting.
It's a great problem. Also, should be worth noting, your guy, Tony Tokars, seems to have a lot more boisterous command of things this camp. I don't think I'm imagining that. I think there's a lot more confidence there. Confidence can be a thing for a coach, too. If what you tell Jordan Travis works, and he goes from, X factor to a Heisman hopeful and one of the top 3 or 4 candidates, you probably say things with more vigor and gusto, and he does. He's louder.
I think the thing with Tokars that would lead to that, not just the confidence that you're talking about, but he got confirmation that he knew what he was seeing. And so that, to me, is a really good thing, because he first guessed it. When I sat down with him last year at the luncheon that we had just most recently, but the same one a year ago, when I asked him about that growth and the potential for that growth, he said, no, you're starting to see it now. I'm seeing it now in terms of the understanding of the offense, where to go with the football, and what he's becoming as a passer. And he kind of documented that in his answer. And then from there, I said, do you think we're going to see, I straight up asked him, do you think we're going to see a big step forward this year? I mean, I understand the growth you're referencing, but do you think you'll see it on the field, game to game, a much better version? He said, yeah, without question. It's sky's the limit for him. I think he's going to go and really impress everybody. Well, then that happened. So he knew, if you're a coach, obviously you in his case, you grew up playing ball. You were a quarterback yourself. You think you know what you're looking at, but it helps for it to play out that way. It certainly does. And you're right. That would engender anybody with the kind of confidence you need there to again, know what you're seeing, teach it to the next guy around because you've had success with that guy, challenge guys a little bit more authoritatively, including your starting quarterback. You see that every day at practice now.
That's the word, authoritatively.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Like, I know what I'm looking at. I know I was right all along. It got proven. You know it. I know it. Let's go. Listen to me, guys. This is going to work. I've had it work. So I don't know. I think the sky's the limit here when we talk about this team. I understand why you say what you do. I'm still reluctant to some degree to say that it's, I mean, at times it sounds like you're implying national championship or bust.
No, playoff or bust.
Playoff or bust.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that I think it's probably fair for us to say you got to win one of the two between Clemson and LSU, right? And you'd be willing to say an 11-win season in the regular season is a really good year, and you have to play in the ACC championship game for this to be deemed a success. Yeah. And I think that's accurate.
If it was the schedule that's 3 or 4 years from now, and who knows if we'll play all these games, but you've got Notre Dame and Clemson and Alabama and Florida.
I thought Georgia was in
Miami.
there somewhere.
Well, I don't think we play them in the same year, but there's 1 year in the schedule where it's either Georgia or Alabama out of the SEC, one of the two. And then you're playing Notre Dame, Clemson, Miami. I mean, good Lord, Florida. In that type of year with this roster, and let's say those programs are at peak, 10-2 is great. But this year, there's 2 games. Come on, man. Split it. Win one of those 2 and play for the ACC championship.
Yeah, and we agree on that. Playing for the ACC championship and at least splitting those 2 games. And then you got to dominate the games that you should. I think they will. Yeah. Think about that expectation. Pinch yourself with that expectation. Hour number 2, forthcoming. Stay with Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
We understand how important it is to have transportation you can rely on. So no matter what the road ahead brings, we'll be there, offering you and your family the support that's made Farm Bureau Insurance a trusted name for over 70 years. You deserve more. You deserve a promise. Learn more at ffbic.com.
This is Rusty Hunt with Florida Farm Bureau Insurance. Please call me today at 850-671-FARM. That's 671-FARM.
Hey man, have you heard the sound? Pentalpha Jewelry's the best in town. For rings, diamonds, earrings, bracelets, and more. Pentalpha Jewelry Store.
When was the last time you randomly did something nice for someone that means a lot to you? Now, I say this every day at the end of my show for everybody to be a better person today than you were yesterday. Well, one way to do that is to drop into Pentalpha and get a gift for someone who deserves it. It'll brighten their day, their week, maybe even their year. You don't have to wait for a holiday or special occasion, so don't wait to go check out a true local gem serving Tallahassee since 1988. Now, sing along with me, and I'll see you at Pentalpha.
Pentalpha Jewelry, Pentalpha Jewelry, Pentalpha Jewelry, home of the real nice guys.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Susan, I'm sorry I'm late. Traffic is terrible.
It sure is. But on top of that, gas prices have been skyrocketing. I can't believe how expensive gas has gotten recently.
Prices at the pump are up, but I never pay full price for gas anymore. I just use the free Upside app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Upside app?
Yes, I get real cash back every time I buy gas.
Does that actually add up to anything?
I've made around $200.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code FREE for an extra 25 cents per gallon cash back on your first fill-up. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, to PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code FREE for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code FREE for 25 cents per gallon cash back on your first fill-up.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus, happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show. Live and local on Real Talk 93.3. WVFT, Greta, Tallahassee. The latest betting odds and live movements from Vegas. This is your Action Update. Now here are your latest lines from our guys in the desert.
NCAA Tournament Sweet 16 today. Creighton laying 10 against Princeton. Double-digit underdogs, 15-6-1 against the spread. In the Sweet 16 since 2011, 74% of the money on Princeton to cover its 10-point underdogs. Track where the money is flowing for every game on the board at VSIN.com. Betting splits. Alabama laying 7.5 against San Diego State. Houston, the 7.5-point favorite over Miami. Texas laying 4.5 against Xavier. College baseball today. The Florida Gators, $1.25 favorite at Ole Miss. Florida State, a plus 155 underdog at Virginia. Cavaliers, $1.90 home favorite. Sign up now for your free VSiN subscription at VSIN.com/subscribe. For more sports betting news and information, go to VSIN.com. Mike Sennett, Real Talk 93.3.
Get ready because Scott's is taking over daylight saving time. It's such a big event that we're calling it day-long saving time. And now it's got real savings. In fact, it's the biggest deals of the year. Audacious? Absolutely. So don't wait. Stock up early and you'll be able to save up to $20 on Scott's Triple Action and Easy Seed products today at the Home Depot and Lowe's. Offers available March 9th through 22nd at select U.S. stores while supplies last. Selection varies by location. See store for exact offers.
In business, everything your employees do impacts your brand, including what they wear. Cintas has high-performance workplace apparel for almost every job imaginable. From work shirts and pants to polos and khakis to Oxfords or T-shirts, these clothes move, breathe, and look great. Your team gets the styles they like, you convey the image you want. And Cintas service includes weekly laundry and delivery. To learn more, visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
A cup of Joe, Java, brew, go-go beans, brain water, liquid lightning, wakey juice, whatever you call your cup of coffee, you're missing out if it's not Grassroots Coffee. At grassrootscoffee.com, you'll find an easy way to order the best roasted coffee beans available. It's very simple. Choose the blend you want and how you want it ground, and the bag you receive will have the date your beans were roasted and packaged on it, all written by hand and signed by the roast master himself. You'll know that's as fresh as it gets. You can get Grassroots outside of your house also at some of your favorite restaurants in town. Next time you're out to eat, try asking for Grassroots Coffee by name because there's a good chance they will have it for you. And if you own a business, Grassroots Coffee has options to stock your break rooms with all the productivity powder your team needs. Plus, like some other options that you'll find at work, Grassroots Coffee actually is a part of our community. Get to grassrootscoffee.com today and get yourself a treat. Some locally owned, locally roasted, and locally loved Grassroots Coffee.
Tallahassee's favorite family-owned Apple and Mac product stores moved to an all-new location. Mac & More Systems is now located at 230 John Knox Road. Same great people, same great services, same great prices, all at a new location. Mac & More offers computer and Apple device sales, one-on-one consulting, business services, and the most experienced Apple repair team in the city. Learn how to get the most out of your Apple gear. Come by and say hi to the Mac & More Systems team today at their new location, 230 John Knox Road.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
in the first scrimmage. Go to warchant.com. That story is up. You can get into that. Wasn't a good weekend for the baseball team. They get swept, and man, at least they put you out of your misery early yesterday. Nothing like kind of tuning in, getting ready to watch a little baseball, and next thing you know, it's 9-0. All right. Grand opening, grand closing. Let's flippity-do. No need to watch this.
You are correct the way you phrase that, though, because if it happens to my Mets, less frequently of late, but it happens.
Oh, sure.
You're thankful. You say, thank you.
Get it out of the way.
I'll check my phone in an hour and a half if it's 9 to 5.
Something weird's happening.
I'm back, baby.
Yeah.
But you just gave me an hour to an hour and a half to be productive and do something around the house.
You know, when you look at the totals from the weekend, I think Eric Llewellyn may have said this while I was driving to go get some food to cook for dinner. And I heard him, or maybe it was on the way back from something. I can't remember. It doesn't matter. So 15 runs. What was the Saturday score?
Carry the 2.
No, what was it? 12? I think they scored. Yeah. So 12 to, would we lose 12-4 on Saturday?
12-5 maybe.
Whatever it was. And that game was close all the way into the 7th inning, and then then the wheels fell off. And then it got just pasted yesterday, boat raced right from the jump. And yeah, it would be right, because you lost 3-2 in extra innings on the Friday night game. So if they gave up 30 runs in 3 games, which, okay.
That's correct.
Not ideal.
Leading 2-1. But
yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so they gave up 30 runs. I think of the 30 runs that scored, half of them got on base via walk or hit batter. Now that, my friends, is unwatchable. I will confess to you that if what I'm watching is us giving away runs because we cannot throw the ball over the plate, it's awfully hard to stomach. Now, that doesn't mean that, like, oh, fire the pitching coach, fire Link, fire. No, it's just what it is. Currently, they're not very good, and they will give teams a ton of opportunities for free to put pressure on your defense and to score runs inning by inning, because they're either walking people or hitting people. It's just absurd.
There's a walk, a hit batsman, and an error in the 9th inning on Friday, I believe. There was a whole lot of that, too, on Tuesday against the Gators last week during those rally moments where, they scratched across like one an inning.
Yeah.
But they would take so many pitches, the hallmark of a very confident lineup.
Oh, yeah.
They'd take it all the way to 2-2. So there you are, waiting for 4 minutes, because, the ACC hasn't adopted the pitch clock the way that Major League Baseball is about to this week. On Thursday will be a Corner Pocket Bar and Grill for opening day.
We will. It is the week that brings back the consistent hum of joy in my life, which is the sound of baseball in the background as I'm coming home every day knowing that there's a game on.
But watching that game on Tuesday, pitch for pitch, and some of the calls were just absurd on called strikes and balls. But
yeah, that's college baseball in a nutshell.
It was a journey to 2-2. Like, that's where we're going. They're not going to swing, and you're going to be kind of wild. You're going to take your time between pitches.
Yeah.
And then can you get him out? And it's not because he's going to swing and miss. It's you're going to fool him and buckle him, or we're going to have to hold on as the ball's put in play and just hold our breath that we can complete the out.
So you're talking, and this is very interesting, by the way. This is another sign that you don't have enough high-quality arms. When you don't have put-away pitches.
Correct.
Wipe out put-away pitches, 2-2 pitches. Like, here comes my put-away pitch. I miss a lot of bats. You're in trouble here. It's either 98 up in the zone, a slider away, whatever it is. It's the one that I use, that I fall back on when I need to get an out. And we don't have a lot of guys that have that pitch in their repertoire. Whereas Florida has reliever after reliever that comes out, and when they need a strikeout, they'll throw velocity high in the zone, and you're in trouble.
Right, or they've got, 88, it breaks off the table.
Yeah, it falls off the table.
Which in college.
College baseball, it didn't even have to be in the strike zone, but
right.
yes.
And 88's plenty fast in college. It probably needs to be 91 at the highest level in order for it to be, quote-unquote, unhittable. But I thought both staffs last Tuesday, again, for example, got squeezed at different times. Both of them did. Where it's 2-2, outer half, it's not even black.
But we can't afford
it's outer half. But when we don't get that call,
you're in trouble.
That's a big problem.
Mm-hmm.
When they don't,
all
doesn't
right,
really matter.
We're back and throw it past you.
I've wasted a pitch, but no harm, no
foul. It's annoying, but
right.
but I can go ahead and get out of it.
That's the difference. Now, the thing I will say, though, is there are enough guys in this pitching staff, especially in that bullpen. They're younger and maybe
they're going to get better.
A lot of them have a pitch. They got something. They got 94. They've got something that again, breaks off the table.
finding the consistency has been the problem.
It's the development, but I do think there's enough ingredients in there that you could put together a weekend plan in the not too distant future. The problem is, where's our psyche going to be as a roster?
Right. And they're not devoid of talent. That's not what I'm intimating at all. They're not devoid of talent. I actually think, again, I said it earlier, I said it last week, and even in the wake of this sweep, I'll say it again, and I believe it. And I think they'll probably lose tomorrow. They'll probably lose the series to Miami. It's going to get harder and harder to have any faith in this team at all. When you lose like the way they're losing in record fashion, quite literally record fashion for Florida State, it is very hard to muster up the energy to believe in something positive, even being possible at season's end. Because when you lose 10 of 11, or if you end up losing 12 of 13, at some point, those results seem to be indicators of much larger problems. I got you. I don't think they're devoid of talent. I do think they'll be playing better baseball at the end of the season than they are currently. Do I think they're good? No. Those are two separate. I don't think they're a good team. I just don't think they're a terrible team. And right now they look like a terrible team. And I don't think they are. Because there's enough young talent, as you're pointing out, that will get better as the year goes on. We've already had the proof that this coaching staff can coach. The same group that was at Notre Dame that came here, same one. So we know they can coach, right? Link's proven it at multiple stops, by the way. That's the evidence you need. It's not just one stop, multiple stops. He's proven that he can coach. So I'm not worried about the coaching. You're worried about the talent, the overall talent on the roster, or the depth of talent on the roster. I got it. But I have faith that it will be developed because there's proof in their previous locales that they do that. They develop guys. So they'll be better. But right now, it is a daily kick to the cojones to watch them play baseball because they do a lot of things that don't give them the chance to win a game that they're in. And they don't have that margin for error to make those mistakes. You cannot walk somebody in a one-run game when you're not good on defense and you can't throw wipeout pitches to get strikeouts. They're going to put the ball in play. So you walk a guy, then you commit an error. Well, you're just asking to get beat painfully, I might add. Painfully. That's what you're begging the other team to do, is take advantage of the gifts that you dole out on the regular with no margin for error.
Yeah, I think the pitching staff has enough talent on it to be a tournament team, so to speak. A 3 seed. They've got enough, but they don't have enough development yet in order to be there by themselves. They don't have enough position players on this roster, which is kind of nuts, but you don't have enough position players to fill out a full defensive grouping. Infield, outfield, you name it. They just don't have enough dudes who can play the field, which is interesting. They have enough talent to score offensively, but they don't have the health right now.
Well, they're getting healthy.
They're getting healthier, but you got to get into a rhythm. This has totally stunted the rhythm, and we're about in April. The season starts in February.
That's why I say they're going to be better at the end of the year.
And they don't have a ton of confidence as a group. In fact, they don't have hardly any. When things go wrong, it's contagious. And typically what happens when a group of talented freshmen roll into a machine of a program? When things go poorly, it's not all on them. They look to the older guys and the culture, and there is something there. I don't think there is anything there for them to look at right now, the younger guys. So it could go one of two ways. Either the older players flip and mature, or the younger players say, the hell with it. We're creating our own path right here, right now. It's going to be fascinating to see what path we walk. But each phase of the game, we've got significant limitations. It's either health, skill, or development in the 3 phases that,
That's a
win
very
baseball
depressing
games.
way of describing it. I like that you also said, which is interesting, quote unquote. That's a nice way of putting it. It is interesting. It's also aggravating as hell.
Well, if this was
aggravating as hell.
If this was Gainesville radio, I'd call it delightful.
Oh, sure. You would think it was fun. Yes.
But in Tallahassee,
oh, no, you see the cracks in the armor right off the bat. You can see
interesting.
It.
It's interesting.
It's immensely frustrating. Yes, last hour I brought it up. It was also immensely frustrating to watch a ref decide a game and help dictate a team going to the Final Four. I will say I do find it infinitely fascinating to look at this group that has now occupied the Final Four. Even if you thought it was going to be a wild tournament, and most did. You did, I did, all the experts that follow college basketball and write about it on a daily basis all thought that this could be a weird tournament, and no dominant team whatsoever. Wouldn't be surprising. It's good to see Alabama lose. That was nice. All these things are fun and interesting and leads to great intrigue. So they got that going for them this year. Again, if you missed last hour, I brought this up before. Quote, unquote, if you're just looking at the seeds, okay, seeds aren't always right. I think UConn was misseeded as a 4. That's a really good team. But if you're going to look at this, you're going to say it is collectively the worst collection of Final Four teams in terms of seeding that we've ever seen. The last one was 2011, and I gave out those seeds. Because what you have here is, again, a pretty amazing thing here. I mentioned UConn seed, a pair of 5 seeds followed by a 9 seed. I don't know who's not rooting for Florida Atlantic. Go Owls, baby. I'll wear a hat. Let's go.
You know, the sad thing, I did catch the very, very end of that game. Flip to it as they were shooting the free throws, just to kind of ice it.
The Kansas State, yeah.
And it's a kid named Forrest shooting free throws to go to the Final Four. And all I could see was Trent, number 3 at the line, shooting free throws for us to go to the Final Four. And it made me sad. But I'm happy for that program. They're out of nowhere. It's really funny. And Kansas State was toying with them. Did you note, actually, okay, I did watch more of the game than I thought. In the second half, they're trying between the leg passes.
Yeah.
They're trying to play disrespectful basketball on the half court. And it's only a 6-point margin or an 8-point margin at the time. Some of the shots that they're taking, some of the decisions that they're making showed that there was no regard for the opponent. We've already got this thing done. Look at all these people from Manhattan, Kansas, and Manhattan, New York. Like, you could sense it. They thought that they were toying with a beaten and done Florida Atlantic team. Next thing you know, it's within a possession, and their string bean of a forward or center is coming down with 3 or 4 critical rebounds.
And he's good.
That dude looked like a gymnast, a couple of the offensive and defensive glass. But it made me smile because they were toying with Florida Atlantic, and then they got burned for it.
FAU is now 35-3 on the seasons. If you look at the Ken Palm adjusted efficiency ranks, they're the 17th best team in the country. So they're legitimately, they're really good. No matter how you look at it with seeding wise, whatever. If you look at those adjusted efficiency rankings, they're the 17th best team in the country. And we know this tournament doesn't always decide who the best team is, just who's ever playing well in a tournament and has the right matchup and takes advantage of it, and they are, and that's cool. They belong there is what I'm getting at. They belong there. Dusty May, the coach there, he's got to be happy because that is a very, very tough group to cover. They score a ton of points. They put up 79 points in that win against Kansas State. They like to get out and run and play high scoring basketball games. So they're fun to watch as well. And they play to their talent. So I love watching that. Now, listen, what's going to happen here, and I get it. I already saw it in the chat earlier, and I've seen emails. Everybody wants to go get Dusty May to come to Florida State, right? This is whoever makes a run in the tournament. This happens all the time. Plenty of people have made runs in the tournament, and then they go get jobs.
It worked for Shaka. He went to Power 5, and look at him. I mean, he's on Mount Rushmore now.
But you can do this over and over and over again. Lots of teams do that. They hire
Enfield, our own.
At USC. He's doing all right, though. But they're not.
I mean, he's going to the Hall of Fame. Look at him.
No, I'm saying this happened. Hey, we did it. We did it with Steve Robinson way back when. After his great run,
we
really
never look back.
Yeah,
never look back.
Happens all the time. Whoever has the coach that's on the hot, who's got the team that makes the biggest surprise in the tournament, everybody wants to hire him, and as if that's a guarantee. I'm not saying it wouldn't work. I'm not saying it would either. I'm not assuming that it would. The point is that they're not moving on. I mean, this has been settled. They're not firing Hamilton. He'll be back next year. What's more interesting and more worth your time if you love Florida State basketball, I think, is to find out just how many guys they're trying to bring in and how many they have a realistic shot at. That's a different discussion for a different time. It's something worth noting, but there are a set of players that they are trying to bring in here, and they are going to have to do something as the staff, meaning Leonard Hamilton, Stan Jones, all those guys, that they haven't wanted to do in the past. And in my opinion, that will be very fascinating to see if it works, because if it doesn't work, this will be their last year coming up. This will be it no matter what. If they are not able to process guys out of the program who don't want to leave the program, then you're going to have a problem, because you have to create space for this roster to be overhauled. And you've got to get rid of at least a handful of guys on this roster that maybe don't want to leave. Maybe they're happy staying here. Well, that's a problem. You can't stay here. You're not good enough. You got to leave. We want you gone. And that's not his MO. That's never the way he's done things, right? That's one of the things that we've respected about him. But now he's got to do the thing that he doesn't want to do. That's very uncomfortable. And that's to tell a kid who's trying hard, let's say, who they missed on. They misevaluated. He's not good enough. They screwed up in recruiting him. All right. And now they have him, and the kid doesn't want to go. Let's say you're a player like that. Okay. What do you do as a coach in that situation? You screwed up.
Leonard has reinvented himself
numerous
times at Florida State numerous times in nuanced ways, but a major overhaul to the point where that was when I jumped off the bandwagon some 10 years ago, when we abandoned the junkyard dog for skill.
Right.
And we didn't have
thankful they did that.
Defensively, we were the pits of the
for
conference.
about a 2-year stretch. Then we got skill that did defend.
Correct. So there was kind of this birthing process. We got there in the nick of time. It was on his last season that we got far enough for him to be extended.
And then there we were in the Elite Eight. Yeah.
It is in Leonard Hamilton to change course of philosophically of the way he needs to operate.
I agree with you. It just gets harder to do the older you are. It gets very difficult to do. And also time is of the essence now.
And
big time.
If it doesn't work, I feel like we're in the last couple of years anyway. Good, bad, or indifferent. I think
if it doesn't work, I think we're in the last year. If they go out and stink next year, I think he's done.
But even if it's a flip to a degree, and they could even make the second weekend of the tournament. I mean, you really think he's going to be here in 2026?
That might be all he wants. That might be
correct.
Yeah, it's just like, hey, I got it back on track.
Let me fix it.
Been real. Thanks for everything. Yeah, maybe.
I just hope it has a good ending because the plot of the movie was outstanding. Really fun.
Yeah. How are we blowing this ending? Don't blow this ending, damn it! I don't like where this is headed. This is headed down the wrong path. You're going to screw this up.
They ran out of steam.
I've been riveted for hours. And the writers are screwing up the ending.
It was all a dream. Come on, man.
St. Elsewhere. I'll never forget that. That show was my all-time favorite show in the 80s, and then that's what it ended up being. It was all a dream. Somebody picked up their little snow globe, and that was the hospital. I was like, oh, get the hell up out of here.
Last season of Game of Thrones is the modern example. Riveting show.
I never saw it.
These people, these frozen zombies, it's always about them arriving. They were there for one episode. Done. It's like, oh, so we spent 6 years waiting for these people to cross the wall.
The frozen people?
The White Walkers.
Yeah.
And the Night King. The Night King was around for like 10 minutes. Screen time. Boom. Done.
Were you like, what is this?
It's like, oh, great.
What are we doing?
Glad I waited 10 years in real time for this to happen. Glad I was glued to this.
Man. We'll be joined here momentarily by our friend Ira Schoffel, Warchant.com. It's Jeff Cameron Show 93.3 Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV.
Motorcycle accident? Call Basic Brooks Law Offices, 777-7777.
At Epps Decorating Center, we're your locally owned Benjamin Moore retailer. We're your store for quality with brilliant and durable paints in a variety of sheens and thousands of colors. We're your store for service with one-on-one advice for contractors and homeowners. We're your local experts, and we're here to help with all your painting projects. Benjamin Moore, available at Epps Decorating Center with 2 locations in Tallahassee. Find a store near you and visit EppsDecorating.com. That's EppsDecorating.com.
Siri, tell me a joke. The past, present, and future walk into a bar. It was tense.
All jokes aside, the trained professionals at Mac & More Systems are serious about Apple products. For all your Mac repairs, call Mac & More Systems at 894-3622. 894-3622.
Whitten Glass has been taking care of families since 1945.
Experienced, reliable professionals who offer only the best, like Whitten's top-of-the-line bath enclosures. Eye-catching storefronts are a specialty at Whitten Glass, and they provide precise installation.
Whitten Glass, Tallahassee's first family in glass. Online at whittenglass.com. Call 850-222-5781.
At Penny Pool, Patio, and Spas, it's prime time hot tub season. And after a long, stressful day, there's nothing like soaking in a hot tub with all that steam. And it has lots of great health benefits, too. Penny Pool, Patios, and Spas is your true hot tub headquarters. Save today on the hot tub of your dreams at prices you can afford. Come and shop our 12,000 square foot showroom and find the right model for you. With over 50 hot tubs in stock, you're sure to find the one that's just right. And for a limited time, take advantage of a free spa cover with purchase of your new hot tub. That's around a $400 value, completely free with your purchase. If you're ready to relax, we're here to show you how. Penny Pool, Patios, and Spas. Come see us at 2473 Greer Road. Pick out your hot tub and enjoy your free cover. You'll be glad you did.
Hi, Chris Kraft for Infinity of Tallahassee. It's time for you to step up to worry-free car ownership with Infinity's new Premium Care program. It's included on all 2023 vehicles, whether you lease or buy. It's free maintenance for up to 3 years. It's just another step forward in Infinity of Tallahassee's tradition of providing top-rated customer service. You see, once you step up to Infinity, customers rarely ever step back. Here are just a few of the covered services with Infinity of Tallahassee's Premium Care program. Oil changes and tire rotations, covered. Inspections, covered. Brake fluid changes, covered. In-cabin air filter replacement covered, and the list goes on. And remember, the program is included with the purchase or lease of any 2023 Infiniti. The best part, Mike C., who has been at Kraft for 20 plus years, has been promoted to Infiniti Service Manager. Mike will ensure that you are truly getting top shelf, white glove, worry-free service on your new Infiniti. Just another reason so many people in North Florida and South Georgia are turning to Infiniti of Tallahassee for a true high-end auto experience.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Vaccine preventable diseases still exist in the United States and all around the world. You have the power to protect yourself, your family, and your community. To learn more, visit vaccinateyourfamily.org.
Welcome back to the Jeff Cameron Show, sponsored by Legendary Home Loans, a mortgage experience designed around speed, simplicity, and customer service. Before you buy your next home, contact our friend Shannon Young with Legendary Home Loans. Visit FSUHomeLoans.com. FSUHomeLoans.com.
Rough out there. You want to make sure that you're with somebody who you can trust. Winning team. Get pre-approval underwriting from my friend Shannon with the one and only Legendary Home Loans. Call now, 844-FSU-LOAN. That's 844-FSU-LOAN. Also visit FSUHomeLoans.com. I know he's excited about football. We all are. Excited about baseball? You should be.
Excited about baseball.
Director Matthews excited about baseball? He should be.
Yeah, that division is going to be nuts. But honestly, what I come to, and especially with the scrimmage reports in the weekend, you beat LSU. Do you know how quickly it goes from
0 to 1,000?
Well,
yeah.
Because now you're doing rooting guides every week of people that you want to lose to fortify your position to be in the top
You're doing what we used to do all the time. Yeah.
I mean, we're back if
yeah.
you win that game. And I don't mean we are going to win 29 in a row. I just mean the conversation. We're
I'd
back
like
in
to win 29 in a row. That'd be fun. That was fun.
Yeah. Might be all right for the town and for the bottom line.
Any preseason bets, as this is the first week that we can legitimately say, hey, Major League Baseball will be played. These games will count. It starts Thursday. We'll be at Corner Pocket Bar and Grill to do that. For example, you got Shohei Ohtani at plus 200 to win AL MVP. You have, Soto to win the MVP in the National League at plus 450 or something like that.
I think a fun exercise to go through either on Wednesday or on Thursday at the Corner Pocket would be to take a look at the FanGraphs win totals and then pick a few that we like. I would lean lower on the Mets, for example, right now. You don't have your closer, and then your two top starting pitchers are 40-plus years old.
Gonna miss some time. You don't think they'll make it through the whole full season? Yeah.
No, but I mean,
get a little sore.
27-year-olds don't make it through 32 starts. So yeah. I want to find some teams that I'm like, ooh, I like them. Look out for Seattle.
I feel like betting Ronald Acuna Jr. at NL MVP at plus 900.
9-1?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I mean, I like that bet.
You can do things like that simply because are there 9 players better or 8 players better than Ronald Acuna when he's at his best? No. That's like yesterday. I played Sam Burns, mentioned that in the first hour.
He did.
Because he was getting plus 160. In a heads-up match. I know it's Scotty Scheffler, but this is a coin flip. At this level of professional golf, a match is a coin flip. And if you're going to give me over 1.5 to 1, I'm going to take that side of the coin. We'll see if I win. I'll bet you that wins out over a long period of time. Same thing in this instance with Acuna. As much as I'm a Met fan and I don't like the Braves, there aren't 8 dudes better than Ronald Acuna Jr. There just aren't.
Well, I think he's walking into that season if he's right and motivated. I mean, this will be.
It's a loaded lineup. He's
he's protected. He's healthy. He's really freaking good. Yeah. No, I like that. I have to do these things, Tom, because I can't look inward. I can't look at the roster in Pittsburgh and say, hey. I can't, unfortunately, do that. Instead, I'm stuck looking at everybody else's team. But it is, for me, the return of a sport that I love that gets you through the dog days of summer and gives you the opportunity to kind of settle in and get excited about, daily basis baseball is good for me. I, in a lot of ways, and maybe I've been groomed this way because of Pittsburgh, I like the regular season a lot. Because every day, again, I can find a good game. Colin, I'm going to answer your question before I get to Ira. No. No news. Ira Schoffel, Warchant.com, joins us now as he's wont to do on Mondays. That's a good thing. Hello, Ira. How the heck are you, brother?
I'm awesome, Jeff. How you doing?
I'm awesome too, buddy. It's you got to be excited for the Orioles. You going to have the hat on tomorrow?
Of course, man. I got to get the MLB package again. This is 2 years in a row now after not paying attention for a long time. So, yeah, man, I'm all in.
Ira doesn't mind admitting to being very fair weather. He's,
I don't think fair weather is fair to say necessarily, because the team clearly was not trying to compete for like 15 years. So, it's not like they were making moves to try to be competitive. It was garbage, and everybody knew it was garbage. So I don't feel an obligation. You Pirates fans feel this debt to keep paying attention when you know your team's not trying to compete.
It's just all the championships, they're trying to live up to that. All right. What stands out to you? Now, listen, for the interest of transparency for everybody listening to us talk right now, neither you nor me or anybody from Warchant staff was at this scrimmage. Nobody's allowed to be. So, to some degree, certainly we can rely on our sources, and we know what the coaches said, and they're pretty transparent, that group over there. So we can look at this and say, well, that's interesting to me, or this is interesting to me, but we didn't see it. What about what happened in this scrimmage that we think we can believe happened in this scrimmage stood out to you?
Well, I mean, the key thing to remember here is we see 95% of the practice.
That is correct.
This isn't like, it's not like we're going to see practices and then they're going to go scrimmage and it's going to be something completely different.
Correct.
So, yeah, I mean, this basically was confirmation of the things we've seen in practice. I mean, the guys I felt kind of weird reporting about the scrimmage and talking about some of the players who had the best days, because it was mostly young guys, because they didn't put a lot of the older guys out there for a whole lot. So you didn't get to hear a lot about Trey Benson and Johnny Wilson and Fabian Lovett and Jared Verse and I think with Jordan Travis didn't play at all. So
right.
So it's kind of a little bit of a skewed report, because it's so focused on the young guys, because that's where they were really focusing in terms of giving the most reps. That's a good sign. I mean, again, it speaks to you've got a lot of good, really impressive young players. But I think the names are going to be a little bit different probably when the season opens in 5 months.
So every time we do go out there, and the coaches have talked about this, so it's not like we're giving away trade secrets here. But Dre Jacobs just continues to be a star, especially for a kid. He's just a freshman, and he looks like he's hit the ground running. And it sounds like he had another good day on Saturday. So it's kind of nuts, but it's not unheard of when you recruit well. If you recruit a good player, oftentimes they can come in at certain positions and have an impact. Are you starting to believe that kid's going to get serious run when the season starts?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I mean, there's no reason to think he won't. And, you go back to, every coaching staff that we've ever covered, and every coaching staff in America, we just don't talk to them. They always talk about how, the further away you are from the ball at the snap, the easier it is to play. So, wide receivers are usually going to be the easiest position to play on offense, because there's not as much demanded of you. And this kid is really talented. As Mike Norvell said on Saturday, the stage is not too big for him. And he's really talented. The other day, Kes McCorvey, friend of ours, all-time great, was at practice. And I asked him, we can tell Vandrevius Jacobs is really good, but what is it about him? And he said, and Kes is like, man, he's got great footwork and body control. He said, he reminds you of those great old-time slot receivers, just shifty and great footwork, and he doesn't seem to ever drop the ball that we see. So yeah, man, he's a talent. To me, it's not really about waiting to see if he can pass the next hurdle. Now, the more we see a practice as he elevates the depth chart, he'll be going up against more consistently the top corners, but he's been going up against good corners and making plays. So, yeah, I don't have any doubt he's going to be in the receiver rotation as well. I think he's a special talent. I think, the guys that played this weekend, the guys that made plays this weekend, I think you're going to see them make plays on Saturdays. Rodney Hill, Vandrevius Jacobs, Patrick Payton, obviously. And, I think it's really positive that those guys are playing well, knowing that there's some more experienced players that are going to play well too.
I think the next big thing to look at, you mentioned it before, Jordan Travis did not play. So we had second, third, fourth string quarterbacks out there, but man, I have got to tell myself to calm down, but I just like everything I see from Brock Glenn, and the fact that he got mentioned as looking maybe well ahead of where he's supposed to be already doesn't surprise me. That they may have hit on something there, Ira. This kid, I think, is better than we could have had a right to expect for a true freshman in his first camp.
Yeah, I think it goes back to speaking to their evaluation as recruiters. And again, I bring this up all the time because I'm always impressed by it. But, there was a reason they didn't go after some other quarterbacks last year. They really liked Brock Glenn. And even when he committed to Ohio State, they were, look, man, they let another quarterback commitment leave.
Yes.
The Chris Parson kid was committed to Florida State, and they let him leave because they wanted to recruit Brock Glenn. They liked him. And they told the other kid, look, we're going after Brock Glenn. If you don't want to be here, you don't have to be here, but we're going to go after Brock Glenn. And to the point where it looked like they were going to strike out on both of them. Because Glenn, then Parson decommits. Glenn commits to Ohio State, but they stayed on him, and they got him, and they believe in him. And I go back to the tour of duty that we were out to watch at practice, that tour of duty.
Yeah.
You could see it there. The way he walked around, the way he carried himself, the way he competed in those drills was a sign that, that's he's got a different makeup than a typical high school senior trying to be an early enrollee. He's not just kind of getting his feet wet, and he's carried it over to these practices. So yeah, man, I think they've definitely hit one there. The good news is I think Duffy's gotten a lot better, and Tate's Tate. So it sets up for really good competition down the road. But yeah, he's definitely been impressive.
That's going to be a fierce competition. I really think that it's all wide open still in terms of, who's going to be the guy that's settled in there as the second string quarterback. You wouldn't expect a true freshman to get that role, but I think that battle between he and Duffy as to who has the more promising future, and Duffy can push Tate because, Tate's Tate, that there's good to that and there's bad to that. So you just don't know how that's going to play out, but it'll be a fun competition to document. I know that every time they practice, whether we see it or not, there's usually glowing praise for the lines of scrimmage. And that too is what separates this team and why we have sky-high expectations going into next year from the others that we've covered recently. It sounds like both the offensive line and defensive line won their fair share of battles, and once again, the depth of those two units really stood out.
Yeah, and I think the defensive line got the best of it, but I think there's the exciting thing about that is, again, you're not relying just on Fabian Lovett and just on Jared Verse. I mean, again, Patrick Payton, and we've been seeing it at practice, but sounds like it really was evident again on Saturday. It's not just the fact that he can get after the quarterback, but he's trying to challenge physically using his power and trying to challenge and setting the edge and being more of a force and run support. And that's exciting, man, because that's not what he did last year. And so he's taking that next step. And I think, you add in the Darrell Jacksons and some of these guys on the defensive line, that group is getting really, much more impressive. The offensive line, I think I still have super confident in. I think it's going to be a great group over the course of the year, but there's more moving parts there in terms of like guys, not everybody fully participating, and then moving guys around. But the lines of scrimmage are continue to be a positive. And the things that Alex Atkins and Mike Norvell were not happy with some of the holding calls and some of the penalties they had, but that's not about ability. I think it's more about technique and fundamentals, and I think we've seen Alex Atkins can fix all that. All
right. Negative subject. Is the baseball team, I ask you every week, going to make the postseason?
It ain't looking great, buddy. It ain't looking great. It's funny. I heard you talking about in the last hour, I heard you talking a little bit about the walks, and it's, and we saw it last week. We saw it in the last series that they played at home. They don't have, other than Wyatt Crowell, most of these pitchers, and Baumeister when he's on, but like most of these pitchers they've got don't have a strikeout pitch. And so they have to try to get guys to chase. So they end up walking guys. They get, it's a 2-2 count, and they end up walking the guy because they can't challenge good hitters. So they're trying to get them to chase. And I look back at the stats from last year. So this year, they've barely got twice as many strikeouts as walks issued as a pitching staff. I think it's slightly less than 2-1 strikeouts to walks. Last year, it was like 3.5 to 1. I mean, they weren't walking the world because they could challenge guys. They had Parker Messick and those guys. They challenged hitters and they could strike them out. This staff can't. And so, across the board, so you got all these walks, and at some point, they're just gonna have to let teams hit the ball. The problem is they're not great defensively either. So it's not a good recipe, Jeff. It's hard to imagine. Right now, I would say they're probably not going to make the postseason. But I think there are some. If you get Wyatt Crowell back, that would be a big piece. And if one more guy kind of steps up, I still think Jamie Arnold's got potential. Maybe somebody else steps up and you can piece it together. But it doesn't look good.
They're going to make the postseason, Ira. They're going to make it.
I want to believe.
They're going to make it. Now, you won't believe it after tomorrow's game. And you probably won't believe it after this. You probably won't believe it after this weekend.
Okay.
But then it's going to start turning around, buddy. Then the turnaround happens, and we'll be sweating it in the final week. They'll need to have a good series, and they'll need to have a good ACC tournament. But they will.
Can you get a baseball equivalent of the choo-choo? Can you get something?
Oh, man. I got to come up with something. I will. Yeah, like a fungo bat?
Ping.
We'll think of something, and we'll have a chart, and we'll begin to update it on a regular basis. Thank you, brother. I'll talk to you later.
Thanks, Jesse, man.
Yeah, that's Ira Schoffel, Warchant.com, managing editor, and you can read all of his thoughts on that scrimmage and what we heard from the coaches afterwards on Warchant.com.
He'll also be on Warchant TV tonight, 8 p.m.
That's right.
For the Smash. It's a little later edition.
Bit later edition.
It'll be me and Ira at 8 o'clock tonight.
Nice.
On the channel.
All
the
right.
Smash.
What's your drink of choice tonight on the Smash?
Oh, I don't
Something
know.
light? Something very light?
Maybe some absinthe. I think it'll be a good time. Just have a whole highball glass full of absinthe for the first minute.
Take a weird turn.
All right, folks.
Here we go. Buckle up, everybody. The Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant.
Your local news now.
A Quincy man is still missing 6 days after he was last seen. Ronnie Jordan is 64 years old, 6 feet tall, and weighs 190 pounds. He was last seen Monday around 12:30 p.m. near his home in Quincy wearing blue jeans, a black shirt, and black slides. Jordan is partially blind and has dementia. If you see him, you should contact the Gadsden County Sheriff's Office at 850-627-9233. The long-term goal for Bannerman Road is to make it more biker and walker friendly. That goal starts with the building of the shops at Bannerman Village and continues with the Bannerman Road widening project. It includes 12-foot multi-use sidewalks on either side of the road with the hope of making the area more walkable and bikeable. Once the project starts, it's expected to last 2 to 3 years. The shops at Bannerman Village will open with Publix, which is expected to open in June. The out parcel stores will follow, and in the near future, apartments and single-family homes are planned for the area as well. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Slight chance for scattered storms this afternoon, otherwise partly cloudy. Highs around 86, southwesterly winds 10 to 15 miles per hour. Slight chance for scattered thunderstorms. Tonight, lows dip down to about 67. Cloudy skies expected. Scattered thunderstorms again tomorrow. Daytime highs approaching 80. Overcast skies. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 85.
We understand how important it is to have transportation you can rely on. So no matter what the road ahead brings, we'll be there, offering you and your family the support that's made Farm Bureau Insurance a trusted name for over 70 years. You deserve more. You deserve a promise. Learn more at ffbic.com.
This is Rusty Hunt with Florida Farm Bureau Insurance. Please call me today at 850-671-FARM. That's 671-FARM.
My man, Eddie.
Jeff, what's happening, dude?
Bears eating people all over the place. I read another article today. It's the third one in the last month of somebody getting mauled to death by a bear.
Man, bears have their own space. You got to let them have that.
You do. You got to stay clear of bears, is what you're saying?
Yes.
I got a question for you. Here you go. If you had to be mauled to death, eaten alive by any animal in the world, which would you choose to eat you alive?
Ooh, I think maybe I'd want, I don't know, longevity time, a mouse.
Just a slow burn.
Slow burn.
This thing just finished the pinky. It's been a month.
I could go to work. I could still do my thing. I could probably live 30 years.
I thought you were going to say great white because it'd be quick, or a grizzly. We went with mouse.
Yeah, mouse.
Okay. Mouse it is.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Welcome back to the Jeff Cameron Show, sponsored by Legendary Home Loans. A mortgage experience is
pitching the baseball right now. That's even more frustrating. A lot of balls put in play, and when you can't pick it up on a regular basis, it makes it difficult to win baseball games. It's true. Yeah, we'll be at that place where that depth of sadness hits you. Like, damn, I don't know, guys. That's a 43-year streak. I'd like not to see that come to an end so soon. That's a tough year one at your alma mater, where you were a big part of the reason they were successful, and now that would hurt your feelings. But it's all right. It's all temporary. They'll be fine down the line. Summer is rapidly approaching. The warm weather, more importantly, rapidly approaching. It's here already in some cases. Make sure you get into the best shape of your life by going to see what it is to work out with those trying to do the very same thing. And science-backed workout at Orange Theory Fitness will help you get there. You want more life. You want more energy on a day-to-day basis. I can promise you Orange Theory Fitness helps do exactly that. Science-backed workouts, kind of what they do when you think about these interval training methods. When you see this at all football programs these days too. You get a month free with the purchase of a heart rate monitor. First class, by the way, is always free, and you'll see what I'm talking about when you go in there. Thorough, nothing left to chance. It works. Pretty straightforward. Orange Theory Fitness, 2 locations, one in Midtown and one on the north side of town over there by Fresh Market. So you've got that. I'll be going to the 9:55 class tomorrow, I think it is. And let's get after it. Let's get after it. All right, so we were talking about Brock Glenn a moment ago. And I'm very mindful when we're in spring football that you can overstate certain things because you're so excited about both where the team's headed, what they're emerging from, and what this expectation is. And, you know, I understand all that. And that's especially true when it's a quarterback, right? Sexiest position, most important position on the field. You just always want to believe that you're hitting on quarterback. And I'll tell you, I think they did. A lot of times with quarterbacks, beyond the physical, which is obviously the most important thing, do you have the ability to make the throws? Do you have the tools, requisite skill set that allows you to excel and play big-time college football? Yeah, you need to see all those things, but most of the time those kids have some of those things. So what separates them, right? They have the arm talent or the size, the height, whatever it might be, athleticism. What separates them? A lot of times it's the mind, man, and the mentality. And I think that's when you're trying to judge early on about a kid. Sometimes you won't know. I'm not saying it's always evident this quickly, but when it is, I think you should stand up and take notice. When it happens that way, sure, it's true. Sometimes it takes a kid a full year or two to kind of begin to get comfortable. We always forget these things, but first time you're away from home in your life as a regular college student, let alone a college football student, is a hell of a jarring thing for a lot of people. You know, it's a tough adjustment just for the general student body, let alone an athlete who's got a lot of his time accounted for and a lot of pressure. and you're entering into a program where the level of athleticism at every position that you look is a lot different from where you were in high school. So that adjustment can be seismic. I'm not saying everybody who's going to be good shows it, reveals it right away, but some do. And when they do, you crack that smile ear to ear, realizing we hit on one, because they don't tend to regress. They don't tend to start way up here at 18 years old and suddenly get worse and worse and worse, unless there's been an injury or something like that, or the team around them falters. But imagine what this has got to be for Brock, and the reason we could all get excited. And this is what I mean by that. That kid comes into this program right now. This program just now turned a corner. Just now began to have expectations. Oh, we had them, but we knew realistically they weren't any good 2 years ago or 3 years ago, right? We weren't there. The roster wasn't in a place to succeed at the level of your expectation. So he could not have picked a better time to say yes. To come in here, you get to learn behind Jordan Travis, who's been here forever, can teach you the ropes, is a good kid, is going to want to help you, help guide you, all right? And for that matter, really, that quarterback room is filled with good guys. Tate's a good guy, right? He's going to help you. But you have the physical tools, and you have the confidence, and you have the mental wherewithal to be taking all of this in and learning rapidly. We're seeing the acumen for the game is exceeding what is a reasonable expectation for a true freshman in his first ever camp. It really is. It's impressive. And he comes in kind of, built and ready to play. It's fascinating. So I talk about it. I talk about it in the sense that I think they got a guy. They got a guy. And that's something to be giddy about. And they're going to bring in another guy who's said to be really, really good. And all of a sudden that room gets interesting. If I were Tate Rodemaker, I would want to get a lot better and more consistent on a regular basis, because I think that battle for second, third string could be something that affects his future. Let's put it that way. It could be something that affects his future. As for those of you that have asked about Derek Clinton, it's a fair ask. When somebody's not at practice for a week, and listen, this is, what, people are out there, the video, you see what happens before practice, and everybody can get a look out there. And when a guy's not there for one or two practices, I addressed this last week when it came up. Ordinarily, I'm not comfortable talking about these things, but when it's been, 7 days, 8 days, then I understand why somebody might say, is something going on? And so I get it. But there is no resolution right now in that situation. And I don't know, the bottom line is, I said it last week, I'll say it again here. Check the roster, the official roster, Seminoles.com. Check that roster on a daily basis if you want to learn anything about who's coming, who's going. Because this staff has proven very quickly they will remove your name from the roster if a decision has been made. It's like within minutes. It's like the first thing you almost get the sense that it's the first thing that happens. They go, okay, that's it. That's all. Thanks for playing. Been real. We wish you nothing but the best. Snap, door shuts, boom, updated. Thursday, I get to do probables. This, a reminder that's because obviously the start of baseball is upon us. Again, a friendly reminder to join us over at Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Should be fun, is every year, where we celebrate opening day. We'll do the show live from there, 1 to 3. Stick around a little while afterwards to watch some more of the baseball on opening day. Of course, they have the Vegas wall there. They'll be doing the hot dogs and all that good stuff, tall, cold beers, buddy. Baseball's opening day is one of the only things that has remained something that I get giddy about all the way into my 50s. There's some things that when you were young about sport, it just blew you away and you were childlike all the time and you're really excited. They begin to wane over time. You get accustomed to them, get used to it, whatever it might be, especially if you work in sports. It doesn't blow you away to enter a stadium the way it once did. A lot of times, that part I miss. I used to walk into football stadiums and be like, oh, that doesn't happen as much when you work games or you go to document as opposed to just root. But baseball's opening day remains childlike for me. I'm a little kid when I wake up that morning. And that is saying something, given that, again, I'm a Pirates fan and they're going to lose 100 games. But I flip around and I watch the sport for the sake of the sport, and I gamble. That's what I do. I gamble a lot. That's what I do. Tomorrow, Seminole headlines. Get your questions ready. I'm sure Ira will post, and so will Corey. We'll be in studio tomorrow for Seminole headlines, and we'll have an opportunity to get down to it. We also get a chance to go back out to practice tomorrow, just as we will on Thursday, be back out at practice. It'd be good to talk to Mike face-to-face and get some more information about that scrimmage. He tends to go back, look at that film again a second time, and then have a little bit more information for us on a Tuesday. Good job to Tom, as always. Good job, Director Matthew. Thanks to all of you as well. Be back with you tomorrow. Peace. Have a great day. Be good.